LGBTQ community is not our problem. Our problem is the inefficiency in the system, the lack of leadership from certain areas, and it's not the president. I mean, if the president had his way, things will be working very well. But of course, there are people in certain areas working, and the president doesn't even know what they are doing because there is a lack of accountability. That is what we must be doing.
Welcome to Care More, Be Better, a podcast for people like you who care about the social impact of conscious companies and everyday heroes. Hear inspiring stories from those who put people and planet before profit and personal gain. You'll learn how you can make a difference, vote with your dollars, and get involved today. Here's your host, Corinna Bellizzi.
Hello, fellow do-gooders and friends. I'm your host, Corinna Bellizzi, an activist and cause marketer who's passionate about social impact and sustainability. In June of last year, I had the opportunity to connect with Nana Aba Anamoah and interview her about her important work. She is one of the most prominent journalists in all of Ghana. She is the Radio and TV Personality of the Year, an award that she has won 2 times in 3 years. Other awards include TV News Reporter of the Year, Current Affairs Presenter of the Year, and Ghanaian Woman of the Year. She's a social media personality with over 3 million followers on Instagram alone. She is also the general manager of GH1 TV and Star 103.5 FM. And she's joining me today to tell us more about her journey as she has founded a new not-for-profit called Hearts Wide Open. Nana Aba, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Corinna.
It's so good to have you here. And I would just love to hear from you what you've done so far with Hearts Wide Open. What is on the road ahead? Where are you headed with this new not-for-profit?
Right. So I've been tossing with Hearts Wide Open in my head for a very long time. And so last year, I decided that it was time because I had been postponing it, even though I had been doing a lot of charity work. But last year, towards the end of the year, I decided that I had to structure it properly, get more people in so that I'm more responsible and more accountable. And so I registered the Hearts Wide Open as a non-profit in Ghana. At the time, exactly a week after I registered it, I posted on social media that I had finally registered my NGO called Hearts Wide Open. And then I received a slew of messages, requests. Everybody wants this, everybody wants that. But the one that touched my heart the most, and I followed through, was a request from the biggest prison in Ghana. It's called the Nsawam prison, and the female section sent me a list of items that they needed. They needed sanitary pads. They didn't have. They needed a receptacle to store water in. They needed rice. They needed sugar. They needed beans. They needed underwear. Medical supplies. Yeah, it was a tall list. So I looked at the list and I'm thinking, okay, for all the things that I have received, I think this one from the prisons touched my heart the most because I really haven't paid attention to the prisons. And I know they do have challenges, but it's really not been on the top of my list. So I decided to pay attention to it this time. So for Christmas, I sat down with my team and I said to them that, okay, look, a lot of people come into my DM and say, Nana, but we want to help, but we don't have money. We want to help, but we don't know who to help. So for this particular one, since it is Christmas, I want us to go to Ghanaians and ask them to donate. So we get these items for the prison. So I put out a message, a video, a 1-minute video. And within days, people had contributed $1, $2, just a few dollars. Other people were calling that I want to donate bags of rice. I want to donate bags of sugar. And so we finally went to the Nsawam prisons, thanks to Ghanaians who donated to donate to the prisons. And we had an encounter with some of the female inmates because of coronavirus. We didn't really meet all of them, but we met just a few of just about 10 of them who shared the challenges of the prison, the experiences of the prison. And it was heartbreaking and also inspiring. Inspiring because despite the number of years they had been incarcerated, they were positive about life. They were looking forward. Some have been there for 15 years, they have another 12 years to go, but they're looking forward to it. I mean, I live in my home, I have all the freedom, and sometimes I don't even look forward to the next day. But these people are looking forward to 12 years. They know that the 12 years will definitely come and they'll come out. Some of them want to see their children. There was a woman who had been there for some time, left her 2 kids, and the kids were maltreated by the caretaker. So these kids ran to the prison and said, we have nowhere to go. We haven't even eaten the whole day. And these stories were heartbreaking for me. But I was glad that Ghanaians contributed and we were able to send these items to the prison. So that's what we did in December. But next week, Wednesday, 26, we are officially launching Hearts Wide Open, because I want to help. There are so many young people in Ghana who are brilliant. They want to go to the university. They want to go and do their master's program abroad. They want to go to the USA. They want to go to the UK, Australia, Canada, and they don't have the means to go. I've been able to speak to a few organizations in Ghana, especially the Scholarship Secretariat, and they are willing to give us a number of scholarships for students who are very brilliant, but finding it difficult to fund their education. I've also been able to get in touch with a couple of institutions in the US who are willing to bring in people who have very serious medical problems and need surgery. For instance, last month there was a young girl who had brain tumor. We couldn't do the surgery in Ghana. Well, we attempted the surgery in Ghana. It didn't go very well. She ended up going blind in one eye. So we had to find a way to get her out of Ghana. So she went to she's currently in the US undergoing surgery to take the tumor out. And so these are the kind of things that the foundation will be doing, trying to get jobs for young people. I met a graduate recently, second class lower, brilliant student. And this student had nothing to do. And so he was working at a washing bay, washing cars, and he thought he could do more with his life than just washing cars. So that's what the organization will be doing, and I'm happy that we are launching it next week. Yeah.
Well, I love your connection to the stories that you're really telling of these individuals that you're able to help. I wanted to bring up one that really stood out to me that preceded Hearts Wide Open being officially founded, and that was the Siamese twins who were connected at the head. I mean, what you did in social media, the way you used your voice to draw people to that particular story. I mean, talk to us about that. Like, this is how you're using your voice. It's also how you'll be using Hearts Wide Open to affect people positively.
Yeah, so this woman in a village in Ghana, very poor neighborhood, gave birth, and the boys were conjoined at the scalp. It was the first the skull. I mean, it was the first time we were seeing anything like that in Ghana. I mean, it's the second time we've seen Siamese twins, but the first time they were conjoined at the head. And of course, they couldn't afford the surgery. They come from a very poor family. These people live in a single room. So the room has no bathroom. It has no kitchen. So they have to cook outside. They have to take their bath outside. You can't do it inside. It's a very sad story. And so for this woman to give birth to Siamese twins who required so much money, and I'm talking about more than $1 million to separate them, it was very difficult. So it came to my attention, and I just thought, okay, I'll see what I can do just to rally Ghanaians home and abroad to donate so we can separate these twins. We put it out, and in 3 days, we had raised over 650,000. And then on the 4th day, the president, so kind, said, okay, stop the appeal for funds, stop the crowdfunding. I'm going to take up the entire cost of the surgery. And so the president did that, thankfully. And so the surgery to separate the two has started in earnest. They started last month. And I spoke to one of the brain surgeons today, and he said it was going so well. And they're very confident that the twins will be separated. And so that was the highlight of my 2021. It's still my highlight. I don't think anything else will beat that for me. Is the trust people had in me to donate. The belief that no matter how much they were contributing, it was for a worthy cause, to help this woman. And apart from the monies people donated, there's a gentleman, he's called Freedom. Freedom decided that he was moving them from their home in that deprived neighborhood to one of the plush neighborhoods in Accra. I mean, you need a lot of money to live in that neighborhood. And he gave them a 4-bedroom house, fitted with a kitchen, bathrooms, a big living room, and they're living there now. Their lives have changed. They have a car to themselves now, thanks to this gentleman. And it makes me happy that people pay attention to the needs of others and try to make life better for them.
Yes, well, because in this instance in particular, you're talking about them essentially living in a 1-bedroom hut. And how would the children even really recover from the types of surgeries that they're going to have to go through without running water? And so, I mean, that's just incredible. I really love everything of what you're doing with Hearts Wide Open.
Thank you.
So I know a part of the vision, because even when I interviewed you in June, we talked a little bit about your work in the LGBTQ community, but we also talked about the fact that there was really this need for medical aid, specifically in Ghana, that a lot of the medical systems aren't as strong as they need to be. And now you've already kind of touched on a couple of the issues, like this very complicated surgery to separate conjoined twins, or an eye tumor or brain tumor that could result in blindness. So how do you see Hearts Wide Open supporting that overarching mission?
So what I plan to do with Hearts Wide Open is to launch a massive campaign to restock our major hospitals. I mean, it breaks my heart every time I have to talk about the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, for instance, and that is our premier hospital, the biggest hospital in Ghana. And one of my friends lost her son last year to brain tumor. The surgery was done successfully, and they moved this boy from the operating table to a different ward, and they couldn't keep him in that operating room or a ward close to the operating room because there were just a few beds, and there are so many people in line to have your surgery done. And so once your surgery is done, there isn't too much time to be spent on you. You have to be moved for the next person to come in. So he was moved to a different ward, and I think he had a seizure. I don't know what happened. This hospital didn't even have a defibrillator. And something as basic as a defibrillator. I've traveled to so many countries in the world where, I mean, defibrillators are so basic. You even find them sometimes in phone booths. You find ambulances have defibrillators, but you come to Ghana and sadly, we don't have that. And people are dying not because our doctors cannot save them, but because our brilliant doctors do not have the resources to work with. And the doctors get really, really frustrated. And there are a few doctors at Kolebu, brain surgeons, who have left the USA to come to Ghana because they think that they have to work in Ghana to save lives in Ghana. And they're in Ghana and they don't have the equipment to work with. And they get frustrated all the time. Some just give up and go back to the USA or Canada or wherever they train. And so it breaks my heart. So one of the things that I want to do in 2022 is to launch a massive campaign to solicit for help from everywhere in the world, for people to help us out, get us defibrillators, get us beds. I mean, we have a no bed syndrome in Ghana. In 2022, you could have the most severe challenge in the middle of the night. You'll be fortunate to get an ambulance, to attend to you. Now, the ambulance will take you to the hospital, all right. You get to the hospital and there is no bed. There is no bed, and you get to these major hospitals and people are sleeping on the floor. And there is so much corruption sometimes that The beds will be available sometimes. You have to pay extra cedis, and that's the currency here in Ghana, cedis. You have to pay money to get a bed for a dying human being. How is that happening in Ghana? And Ghana is not a poor country. We are not a poor country. We have so much. We have so many resources. We have gold. We have cocoa. I mean, we are the second exporter, biggest exporter of cocoa in the world. We have gold. We have bauxite. We have diamonds. We have timber. We have all the natural resources. But people are dying needlessly. 2 weeks ago, there was a news item of a woman in labor during the day, and it was daytime. It wasn't even at night. Daytime. There was no clinic in her neighborhood. They had to put her on a truck, and I'm not talking about a proper truck on the roads. It's like a wheelbarrow. They had to put her in a wheelbarrow to carry her to the nearest community, which was miles away, to go and deliver. The woman died on her way to the hospital. She died, and that's a needless death. And so it really baffles me that this is happening to people in my country. A lot of the people in my circle always pray against falling sick in Ghana, because you always say to yourself that if I fall sick and I go to the hospital, I'm going to die, not because my case is so serious, but because of the lack of amenities, the lack of basic things to attend to me. And we have the best doctors and the best nurses in Ghana, but unfortunately, we don't have the resources to go with. And so that is one of the things that I want to do in 2022 with Hearts Wide Open, to try and fix the problem. I mean, I'm inspired by the late president of the USA, JFK, who says that ask not what your country can do. You should also ask what you can do for your country. So I don't think the buck only stops with government. I think that people must also try and use the little that they have to turn things around, because you just never know when it will be your family, or it will be a family member, or even you in that situation. And so that is one of the major things I want to do in 2022 with Hearts Wide Open.
Now, I have two questions that relate to the story you've just shared, and one relates to COVID. I wonder if part of the lack of beds is because of the COVID pandemic, and how that's even really going there?
No. We've had the no bed syndrome in Ghana for years. For years. We just don't have enough beds. And it's not just beds, it's also incubators. One of my colleagues with another media house, Kwame Safakaim, launched a campaign to buy about 12 or 20 incubators for different hospitals. Babies were dying because we didn't have incubators. I mean, how? And this was just as recent as 2020, 2019. We don't have incubators. So it is not just COVID. I mean, COVID came with its own challenges. And you know, Corinna, we have been so fortunate in Ghana that the kind of reports that we saw in the USA, in Italy, in England with coronavirus, we didn't experience a quarter of it. Fortunately, our cases are so low. I mean, if you look at the number of people who have died from COVID in Ghana, it's so low. The infection rate is so low. We have been lucky, because if we hadn't been lucky, our medical facilities would have just given up on all of us, because we don't have it. We don't have the resources. We don't have the facilities to go with it. So we've been very lucky. We've been so lucky. The few people who got coronavirus were lucky. Even in some instances, we didn't have oxygen. You know, we didn't have oxygen. People had to be paying for oxygen. You know, you had to bribe people to get oxygen. But fortunately, this government has been very resourceful with coronavirus. They've handled it very well, better than a lot of us thought they would. I mean, there are still criticisms here and there, but they've handled it properly. So the lack of beds is not because of coronavirus. It's been with us for a long time. You go to hospitals and women deliver. You know that when they deliver today, they should be kept at the ward for a couple of days or a few hours. But we have a system that is in a hurry to rush them out because there are more women coming in to deliver. Why is that happening in my beautiful country with all our resources? It doesn't make any sense to me.
So the second question I have relates to the fact that, you are missing some of these key components. Like when you say an incubator, I mean, we're not even talking about some of the things that are used right now to treat COVID that are suddenly in great demand that you might have more difficulty sourcing. We're talking about something as simple as something to keep your baby warm when they've been born. So that's really simple. But there's also another problem that Ghana faces, and that's what we have called the brain drain, where some of those really skilled surgeons, as you mentioned, will just leave the country out of frustration. The doctors, the medical professionals that keep you healthy, they're just like, I want to be here. I want to support this family, but I can't take this anymore. I'm going to go work in the United States where I have access to the tools that I need to be able to save lives, which you can't really fault them for. So I just wonder if you could comment on that and tell us a little bit more about where we are in that phase.
I mean, it's so sad when you hear these doctors, and I'm telling you for a fact that we have some of the best doctors in the world. Some of the best doctors in the world are Ghanaians. The best nurses in the world are Ghanaians. And there is such a brain drain. They leave the country in droves because they are frustrated. They are so frustrated. In fact, look, we have doctors going on strike because they feel they're too exposed. They don't have the resources to work with. They are contracting diseases on the job because things as basic as gloves, something as simple as a glove is sometimes not available. You get injured on the job and nobody cares about you. I mean, things have improved in the health sector, but it could get better. But the number of times doctors have complained because they don't have basic things to work with. And so they complain so much, nothing happens. Number one, either they are leaving the government hospitals, and we have more government hospitals than the private hospitals because the government hospitals are cheaper. Remember that majority of Ghanaians are poor. We have a lot of people living on less than $1 a day. And so these people go to the state-owned hospitals because it is cheaper to go there. But they go there and the doctors are willing to help, but they don't have the resources to work with. So people are going home without any proper health care. We introduced the National Health Insurance Scheme, the NHIS, the insurance, and it hardly works. It barely works. Hospitals are giving up because they feel that the government is indebted to them. The government is not paying. And so if you bring your health insurance, they will not take it. You have to pay. It is cash and carry. If you don't have the money, you're not going to get health care, quality health care. And that is sad. And that is why a lot of doctors are leaving. Doctors are losing patients, not because they are inefficient. They're losing patients because they don't have the resources to work with. So why would I stay here and record too many deaths on my table? They will leave and go to America. It breaks their hearts, but they go. Their families are better off. They are better off. They're being paid well. If you hear what Ghanaian doctors are paid, you'll be sad. They're not paid well. The little things they need to work with too are not available. So you don't expect them to stay. And I really don't fault any Ghanaian nurse, lab technician, or doctor who decides that they're leaving Ghana. I really don't fault them. And I know people try to play the patriotic card a lot, that you've got to be patriotic, you've got to love your country. No, you love your country, and that is why you must leave. Because when you stay in your country with all of these problems, you end up killing more people. So you're better off being somewhere where your work is appreciated, the resources are available, and you can earn your keep and save lives properly.
And perhaps, too, use your voice to raise funds for something like Hearts Wide Open that is seeking to solve the problem. So I just think that's so critically important for us to think about in the West. I mean, a lot of things are broken in the healthcare system in the United States. It's not perfect, but most people can go and get the care that they need if they just go to the hospital. They're going to get the basics that you've heard covered.
Corinna, I'll tell you something that happened last week. A man called the ambulance service because his wife had gone into labor. The ambulance driver arrives with the team of health professionals on the ambulance. They leave his home, and then 5 minutes into the journey, they ran out of fuel.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And then they tell this man whose wife is dying that give us 500 cedis. And 500 cedis is about maybe $75. I hope my calculation is right. That give us this amount of money to refuel, else we can't continue with this journey. And the man didn't have a dime on him. Corinna, his wife died.
Mm.
His
I
wife,
mean, you're at that point, you're just getting in the ambulance,
precisely.
you're on the way, you
Yeah.
left your
His
wallet.
wife
I mean,
died. His wife died. His wife died because the ambulance had no fuel. The ambulance had no fuel. Where in this world does that happen? Where? And this is Ghana. We have oil. We export oil. You know, we export oil. Maybe not in large quantities like other countries, not like Nigeria. But how is somebody dying because because there's no fuel in an ambulance? It makes no sense. And when people get angry, you just have to leave them to rant because the system frustrates them. And I know that it breaks the hearts of the leaders as well. But the system is so complicated. And you know, we had such an argument over it, and I said to them that I can bet my last coin that the head of the ambulance service had no idea that there was an ambulance without petrol. But because there's so much corruption in the system, someone somewhere decided that, okay, let's use the ambulance for something else. Because there was a time when an ambulance would be in traffic, sounding all the sirens, and you think they're carrying a patient. One time, it turned out that it wasn't a patient. They were carrying cement blocks. Someone had a contract to go and deliver cement blocks to a contractor working somewhere. So they get paid privately. And this is an ambulance. And there are people dying in other areas looking for an ambulance to transport them to the hospital. So there is so much corruption. And the corruption is not just at the top. People like to blame the leadership, but it's not just there. It is in the middle. It is in the bottom. We are so corrupt, and there is corruption everywhere in the world. I mean, I'm not even going to run away. There's corruption everywhere in the world. But the systems that make corruption expensive for people to practice are so weak in Ghana. And so people take advantage of that. And that is why an ambulance driver will show up and say that I don't have fuel. If you don't give me $75, I'm not going to take your wife to the hospital. How is that happening in Ghana? It makes no sense.
Well, it reminds me of another story that you shared in June, which we appropriately published in Pride Month here. But LGBTQ community, it's essentially illegal to be gay in Ghana. And,
Isn't that sad?
Kids will get beat up, that are suspected of being gay or that are gay. Kind of doesn't matter, right? But they'll get beat up for it, then come to the hospital and be turned away because they don't operate or work on.
No sense. It makes no sense. And I keep telling Ghanaians that, look, the LGBTQ community in Ghana is not even talking about legalizing the act. They're not talking about legalization. They haven't even made the attempt to talk about legalization. They're just talking about their rights to healthcare, their right to education. Because you go to a community and there is a mission hospital. The hospital is owned by one church, and the church says that LGBTQ is non-Christian or non-Muslim or that, even though I haven't heard the Muslim community do that, but mostly it's with the Christian communities. And so you turn up, a man, you're not well, you have malaria, and you've come to the hospital to seek healthcare. And somebody just points you out that, oh, this guy, he's gay. Or the last time I saw him in a corner with a guy, they were kissing. And Corinna, that's it. You are not going to be attended to. You would have to go home with your sickness and treat yourself. If you're not lucky, you may die. If you're not lucky, and it happens outside the hospital, in the community itself, that somebody points you out that guy going is gay, or that lady is a lesbian, or that guy is a trans, oh, that is the end of you. You will be beaten to pulp. You will be lynched. And I don't know how that happens in a civilized community like Ghana. And I tell people that, look, politicians are using you. They've drafted some laws they call Ghanaian family, whatever. In essence, it's called the anti-gay bill, and it is in parliament, and parliamentarians are going to debate it and pass it. And I tell my friends that, look, I don't think that people understand this LGBTQ community. They are human beings. The same country that claims that they are Christians. The Bible says, love your neighbor as yourself. If we're going by what the Bible says, why are you hating another human being because they have decided they don't want to be like you? Why is it your business? And they've made it all about sex. And that is what annoys me the most. And I say to people that, look, it is not just about, why are you concerned about what two adults are doing in their bedroom? Let's assume that it is all about sex. Why does it bother you? If two consenting adults, two men, decide that in their bedroom, in their privacy, this is what they want to do, why is it your business? Why are you so concerned about it? Why are you not worried that a fellow human being is not getting access to healthcare or education because they are different from you? And if you truly, truly, truly believe in the principles and the tenets of the Bible, you should be the one speaking for them. Because even Jesus said that he didn't come for the holy ones. If you claim that being gay is a sin, and let's assume without admitting that is true, let's just say that, yes, it is a sin. Even Jesus said he didn't come for the holy, he came for sinners. So if you're a Christian and you really believe in the Bible, you should be speaking for these people. You should be showing them love. You should be bringing them closer to you. Why are you driving them away? And so I feel there's so much hypocrisy. And bottom line, that is what it is. It is hypocrisy. People are just hypocritical. Politicians are using LGBTQ to hide their inefficiencies. They've made promises. They're not delivering on these promises. They are MPs. They're not delivering in their communities. And they're hiding behind LGBTQ. And I know when this goes out, they are going to attack me. And I don't care. Because I believe that gays, lesbians, transgender, queer people must live freely in Ghana. They have a right to live. They have a right to any entertainment center in Ghana. They have a right to go to any hospital of their choice. They have the right to associate with any group of their choice. They have a right to access education in this country. And if we fail to do that for these people, then we are not worth the peaceful country that we claim we are. Because we always say we are the beacon of Africa, we're the beacon of democracy, we are the most peaceful country in Africa. You can't be the most peaceful country in Africa if you target people, you single out certain people because they're different from you, and you subject them to abuse. You cannot be the most peaceful country in Africa if you're doing that. And that is my anger with a lot of Ghanaians who are bought into this anti-LGBTQ campaign, and they don't know what they're doing. They don't understand what they're doing. It is just like, let's go with it. This is what the people want to hear. The people don't like lesbians. They don't like gays. So let's go with it, and they'll come along. And they're hiding behind it, and they're being so inefficient. We have bad roads. Our roads are getting bad. Yeah, fortunately, more roads are being built, are being constructed. But our hospitals, our healthcare situation is getting bad. We have issues with education. We have issues. Nobody even pays attention to climate change in Ghana. And we don't even understand the repercussions of climate change in Ghana. But we are so fixated with a few people in Ghana who are LGBTQ community members. Why I don't understand where that fixation comes from. And when I talk about it, I get so angry because I don't understand how a human being can wake up in the morning and just hate another because they don't want to be like them. And I say to people that I'm very conservative. I mean, I'm a conservative person, but I have respect for people. And that is the bottom line. You must respect people. I'm a Catholic. There are certain things that my Catholic church will say, no, this is so un-Catholic, that is so un-Catholic. But I have common sense. You know, what I have is common sense. Yes, I'm a Catholic at heart. I'm a Catholic to the core, but I also have common sense. I have common sense that if a woman decides today that I am pregnant and I don't want to keep the baby, I want to abort the baby, it is not your decision to tell the person that, no, you are sinning. It is their choice to make. And I'm not going to say because I'm a Catholic, I'm going to tell them, no, don't abort that child. If you abort that child, you are a murderer. No, I'm a Catholic, but I have common sense too. I have common sense. I respect people. I'm a Christian. I'm not going to shy away from my Christian principles. I'm Christian forever and ever. But I will not also say that because people, my priest or my pastor has said that LGBTQ people are evil, I am going to hate them. That would mean that all the money my father has spent on my education has gone to waste because I didn't learn common sense. I didn't and basically that is what it is. It is called common sense. It is called respect for the other person. Respect people's views, people's political views. Respect people. Just have some respect for people and live with them freely in a community. And it breaks my heart that every single time we have to, and the more I talk about it, the angrier I get. I get really angry.
I have to say, I mean, it makes me very angry too. And, when you first told me that people were calling you a lesbian to try and get that kind of riled up
really
against
care.
you and things like that.
I'm not a lesbian. I'm not a lesbian, but I don't.
No, but the government is using, or the people in power are using it against you to try and use this.
It's not really the people in power. It's just their sympathizers, their followers.
Mm-hmm.
They come at you with all sorts. I mean, if you call me a lesbian,
so what?
It doesn't take anything away from me.
No, it shouldn't. I mean, it's just a sexual preference.
Yes, I know lesbians who are doing better than I am. I know lesbians who are more intelligent than I am. I know lesbians who have charted paths and they are so successful. And so I respect these lesbians. I know gays who are doing so well, and I have so much respect for these gays. I am not going to hate somebody. I mean, I can't even hate you if you kill a fellow human being. I don't even have it in me to hate anybody. Mm-hmm. So if I can't hate a murderer, why am I going to hate someone who is gay?
Yeah.
Or lesbian? What crime have they committed? It is not a crime to be different from me. So I don't hate them. It's just so sad that people are deliberately using it so much. And I know, but Corinna, what is shocking is that not every Ghanaian is buying into it. The new generation, the young people between 18 and 28, they are so exposed. They are so aware. What do we call them? The woke. They are so aware that you cannot throw these things at them. They will tell you that it is not the most important thing. It is so sad that it's just the generation before this particular one that is buying into all of it. But the young generation, they don't care. Mm-hmm. They just don't care that, okay, so you've called him or her a lesbian. You claim they are lesbians or
Big deal.
Gay. And so what? Mm-hmm. I mean, so we want to make our lives better. So fix the country for us.
This is probably one of the benefits of social media because they are seeing how it is in other countries. Absolutely. And they're seeing how it is around the globe. So it becomes, these sorts of issues become less issues to them, to this younger generation that is, spending time on TikTok or whatever their social applications are, right? Yeah. So I think that's one of the positive things about social media. Now, it's like, I think the thing that irritates me is that there are people who are deliberately using something that they know inflames a particular set of people to try and, somehow make your voice less impactful. And so I love that you're willing to stand up against all of that and just speak your truth and be a bastion of hope for those people, because it's we need more voices like yours. We 100% need more voices like yours. Absolutely. So with Hearts Wide Open, you have very big dreams. I mean,
absolutely, a lot.
It's solving medical systems and also supporting the LGBTQ community and.
Yeah, it's a big job, but I will try as much as I can. I know I'll meet resistance here and there, but I've been through this so many times. I've been doing this for so many years that I don't think anything at all can stop me. This is what I've decided to do. Mm-hmm. And I don't stop till I get results, and this is exactly what I'll be doing. I'm just going to look forward to the results. That's the most important thing to me, the results.
That's amazing. Well, as we've talked about a lot today, what is the thought that you'd like to leave our audience with? If there's a question I didn't ask that you wish I had, some gem that you want to leave them with?
I just want if there is any Ghanaian listening to this podcast, I want them to understand that the world has changed. The world is changing, and it's going to keep changing. And our problem is not the LGBTQ community in Ghana. Our problem is the leaders of the country who have refused to be accountable to the people. The leaders of the country who have failed to fix our healthcare, who have failed to fix education, who have failed to create an enabling environment for jobs to be created, so that when you graduate from the university, you don't have to sit at home for 8 years before you get a job, and they get so depressed. You don't have to go into entrepreneurship to start your own business because there are no jobs. The jobs should be there. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody. There are people who come out of the university, they have ideas and they can start on their own. There are some who are also created for 8 to 5 jobs and they want to do 8 to 5 jobs. The system cannot force you to start a business when you are not ready to start a business. And that is what the system is creating. Young people are starting bakeries there and they are not ready for it. But because there is nothing to do, there is no money, they have to force themselves to get into this thing. And so I want Ghanaians to know that LGBTQ community is not our problem. Our problem is the inefficiency in the system, the lack of leadership from certain areas, and it's not the president. I mean, if the president had his way, things will be working very well. But of course, there are people in certain areas working, and the president doesn't even know what they are doing because there is a lack of accountability. That is what we must be doing. And for the rest of your audience, I just hope that if they have the chance, they will spend an extra dollar helping my dear country to fix some of the health problems in our country. I mean, our governments have done enough. I mean, they've done more than enough, but we can do more. We as citizens can do more. And so if they have the opportunity to help citizens in this country, I would very much appreciate it. And I'd be happy if they do it through Hearts Wide Open.
Well, that's just beautiful. So where can they go to find out more about you and Hearts Wide Open specifically?
Okay, so Hearts Wide Open has a website. It is heartswideopen.ngo. You can reach us there. We are also all over social media at heartswideopen_. On Twitter, Instagram, we're on Facebook, Hearts Wide Open. We're on LinkedIn as well as Hearts Wide Open. Or you can just contact me directly at the Nana Aba, TheNanaAba, on social media, on Twitter, Instagram. I'm on Facebook as well, even though I still don't understand Facebook. I'm quite new to it. But yes, I'm there, and I'm on LinkedIn as well. They can contact me and I'll be most grateful.
Yes. Well, what I will say about your Instagram is it's a pleasure to follow. Not only do you share a lot of really great information that I think would help everybody understand what's happening in Ghana, but you also have such an impeccable wardrobe, and I get to see some incredible outfits that definitely bring out the jealous in me.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Corinna.
Yeah. So thank you so much for joining today. I really appreciate everything you're doing. I will include links to all of the profiles and also heartswideopen.ngo.
Thank you.
And just for everyone listening, NGO means non-governmental organization. It's the same as .org essentially, but it's a newer acronym. People don't necessarily know it the same way. So .ngo.
Yeah.
That means all of your donations are tax deductible. That's what that means.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, Corinna.
Now it's time for this simple ask. I'd love it if you would share this episode and our website, caremorebebetter.com, with friends. If you haven't already, please subscribe to this podcast so you are the first to know when we have new episodes. And if you go to caremorebebetter.com and sign up for our newsletter, you'll receive notification of all of our new episodes. We'll share assets with you and also that incredible 5-step tool to unleash your inner activist. Who knows, perhaps you could form the next Hearts Wide Open, something that's really relevant to you and your community. It's through sharing the in-depth conversations like the one that we had today with Nana Aba Anamoah that we'll all be a part of the change that we want to see in the world. Together, we really can create the future that we want by inviting other people to care a little bit more so we can all be better and keep our hearts wide open. Thank you, listeners, now and always, for being a part of this pod and this community, because together we really can do so much more. We can care more and we can be better. We can even regenerate Earth. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Care More, Be Better, a podcast for social good. To make sure you never miss an episode, subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And share with your friends to help us reach more people and spread more social good.